Okay, here we go. My hair's sticking out everywhere. It is September 2025, and I'm still here. I'm still here. I have to say, I'm proud of myself for saying that because it's not always easy, but I am here. But as it is September, that means it's Suicide Awareness Month. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about all the things, and I'm going to say the word. I'm going to say suicide. And guess what? My husband died by suicide. So I get to. And yeah, I need to, honestly. Okay, tiny rant over, but this one will be triggering for some. However, if you want a real look at what suicide loss and what it's like to fight that darkness yourself looks like, I'm about to show you. So let's get real. We're going to talk about suicide today because it is Suicide Awareness Month, and it is also, in just a couple of days, going to be my 31st wedding anniversary, which I don't get to celebrate for the 8th time with my husband, Jeff, who died 8.5 years ago by suicide on November the 29th, 2016. So yeah, I've dealt with some shit. I've been through it. And I totally understand why he couldn't hang on. Because, damn, this shit is hard. And the darkness is big. And I'm just going to say it, even though I got my ass chewed out for this in another podcast. But I will, in this episode, refer to suicide as a demon. I am not in any way, shape, or form demonizing those who die by suicide when I say that, though. No way. There is no way I would demonize my husband for his choice. I get it. That pain was too much for him. I understand it because I have now found myself facing that same shit. So yeah, I'm going to call it a demon because it shows up disguised as an angel of mercy. And if I see it for 1 second when I'm fighting that darkness as an angel of mercy, I'm out of here. But when I look up into that angel of mercy's face, so far, every time for 8.5 years, I have recognized the demon underneath that took my husband, and I have stood up and spit in that motherfucker's face, and I'm still here. So yeah, when I'm fighting it, it's a demon. But those who can't, they should never be demonized. Because, again, it shows up as an angel of mercy. So this one may trigger people, but I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a suicide widow and to fight that demon and how I've stayed here. So if you're ready, buckle up, buttercups, because here we go with another episode of Widow Wit and Wisdom. Okay, sorry about the feisty intro, but I am honestly just so tired of people judging my grief and how I deal with it and how I refer to it. So yeah, please stop. This is a judgment-free zone. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to shame you or blame you. I've dealt with that enough myself. But please don't do that to me either, okay? Because that's just not cool. And it solves absolutely nothing. If you have something to say about my thoughts and opinions on widowhood or suicide, please bring that directly to me so that we can have an adult conversation and not some big throwdown rant. So with that said, happy Suicide Awareness Month. This is a rough one for me. This starts the beginning of my high tide season where things get really I get more triggered easily. I'm just dealing with a lot more grief and pressure and stress. Yeah, let's talk about that. First of all, I wanted to share with you a few of my notes on what it's like being a widow when your husband dies by suicide. Because I assure you, if your spouse or loved one died by any other means, it's different. I felt those differences almost immediately. They were pointed out to me out of the gate. I was not met with casseroles and kindness and empathy and sympathy. I was met with instead no casseroles to fill my freezer, not that I could have eaten anyway, but also with just questions and no answers to give and no answers to receive. It just confusion and chaos and blame and shame and judgment immediately from others and myself. Yeah, that is a huge beginning difference to what we are dealing with as widows. And I realize that many other widows probably deal with those exact same emotions and can relate to this on some level. But again, the biggest difference is I'm not just doing that to myself. I'm not just blaming myself and shaming myself and judging myself for my husband's death. Other people are doing that to me too, thus edifying my thoughts that this is all my fault. And that was a lot to carry, especially in the brokenness and chaos of everything that was happening. The fallout from a suicide death is just different. It's just bigger, and it leaves you completely alone and isolated feeling. And that really sucks. So yes, it is different, but we all have those similarities at the same time. So I thought I would share with you a little bit of what is like my list here of, as a widow of suicide, what has my grief been like? My grief has often been dismissed, diminished, and put into question. Don't question my grief. Don't question my love for my husband, people. Bad idea. You got no clue. As a widow of suicide, there has been judgment, shame, and blame thrown at me and thrust upon me by others, by myself. Like, I do that to myself. And that is a huge thing to fight. It's been hard. It's been hard to work my way through those feelings of judgment, blame, and shame for Jeff's death, and to deal with other people doing that to me. But once I stopped judging myself and blaming myself and shaming myself for Jeff's death, once I got that under control, I found pretty quickly that other people doing that to me didn't really have much of an effect anymore. But it has taken a lot to get through that. As a widow of suicide, the what ifs and the if onlys, those can crush me. Those can take me down. Usually they are my thoughts of, if only I had done this, if only I had said that, if only I had been there, if only there are so many. And that weight can crush me. It can bring me to my knees and make me feel absolutely hopeless, which sucks. And then you add to that other people asking me, if only you had done this, if only you had done that. Yeah. It just feels like more blame and shame. And that adds to my weight and makes it a lot harder to carry too. So just like with all the judgment, shame, and blame, I have had to learn to wade through the if onlys and I should have done this and I should have done that, and accept that I can't go back and change it now. I can do better going forward, and that's about it. And I'm going to try every single day to do better at that, to recognize when someone else is hurting and not hurt them more, but help them sit in their darkness and let them know that they're not alone. Because I've been there. It sucks and it's hard. When I say alone in this, I mean it. Because one of the big things about suicide loss is the massive fallout and secondary losses that happen. Because you see, when I lost my husband, it seems like I somehow was branded with this giant scarlet letter on my chest. And no one wanted to be tainted with my shame of suicide loss. And I understand that. It is a big, ugly letter, okay? And it is hard to overcome that shame and judgment. It really is. People expect me to be properly humiliated or ashamed of my husband's death. I am not. And you can take those thoughts. And anyway, we'll finish that later. But yeah, the secondary losses are huge. People stop calling. A lot of widows, I think, deal with that. That people stop calling. You don't get invited to things because you're not a couple anymore. But with suicide loss, it's more extreme. I have lost people in my life that I never dreamed would walk away. People that I thought I could always count on to be there through anything. People that I thought could love me at my worst. Those people looked at me and said, "You are too broken and I cannot deal with you." And that was crushing. That was hard to overcome. That was a darkness that has been profoundly hard to dig myself out of. And yet, here I am, still here. Another big difference for me since becoming a widow is, and it is often referred to, actually, my niece just said something to me about this the other day. I no longer walk into a room and just light it up with laughter and joy and love and openness. And that is somewhat because there's just no more rooms to light up because of previous said things. But I don't walk into a room and light it up anymore. When I walk into a room now, I am scared to death. I am terrified to be there, which makes inviting me even harder for those around me. Because I'm not. I'm more guarded now. I'm more anxious when I'm walking into a room. I'm not just filled with exuberance and excitement for life anymore. And that makes it hard. Like, why would you want to invite me? I get it. So yeah, those secondary losses, they're big. They're huge. And they leave a big old impact and make it really hard to keep making memories sometimes. As a widow of suicide, I have had to extend grace, understanding, and empathy and acceptance to others when it is almost never extended to me. But extended I shall, because I know the struggle. I know what it's like when there's no one there to extend it, and you need it so desperately. And I hold truly sacred in my heart and my soul those few beautiful people who have stood with me in the darkest of the dark, the most broken of the broken, and not judged me, but just held me together and said, "I've seen you here before. I know you're going to get through it. I know it hurts like hell, but you can do this." I cherish those people who have loved me at my most broken and not given up on me. They have kept me going. Those people that have stuck with me and held me up and told me I was pretty when I was falling apart, I am truly blessed by them and grateful to them. And I honestly work hard and strive to pay that forward and be that for not only those people, but anyone else who needs it. They're hard to find. Those people are rare that can not flinch when you are falling apart. They are truly magical people, and I am so very grateful for them. Another big struggle that I've had as a widow, and I think many people or anybody grieving anything or struggling with anything struggles with this one, but especially as a widow, my faith, my beliefs, and my religion, but especially losing someone to suicide. That really comes into play because right out of the gate, there is a huge question of where is his soul? Is he in heaven? Is he in hell? Is he floating in the cosmos? And having been raised in a very Christian environment, I was raised that if you died by suicide, you were going to hell. But the minute Jeff died, I knew there was no way that beautiful soul was in hell. I did not feel that at all. And I knew I was right. But everything inside of me, all of my beliefs said that he was. And so it became an epic struggle for me. And fortunately, I dug in. I wanted to know why this was said. And I eventually, when I got a little bit back on my feet, I dug into that because I needed my faith. I was someone that had always relied on my faith, my church family, all of that. And suddenly I didn't have any of it. And that was so hard. And I can totally understand why people walk away from the church. I was told at the funeral, like, I'm praying for your husband because you know he's in hell, right? No, he's not. That will get you a throat punch from me these days. Yeah, I can do I'm actually working on an entire just podcast series about that whole beliefs, faith struggle, especially with suicide. But that comes into play. And you know, when people are attacking you and telling you like your person's in hell and I'll pray for their soul and all of that, it doesn't help. It does not help at all. And when I say it doesn't help, I mean it. I mean that in those early days when people said that to me, you basically put a gun in my hand and told me to pull the trigger, because I didn't just promise that man till death do us part. I promised him eternity. And if his soul's in hell, mine's going to be right beside him. Don't say that to me. That it was cruel to say that. Now, I have done the work, done the research, and figured out that man is not in hell. Trust me, he's not. That again is a whole nother podcast series, but it is not helpful. It just isn't. And please don't beat me to death with your beliefs, because I've worked really hard to get where I am in mine, and they are solid. My faith is more rock solid than most of the people that try to hit me with theirs. Yeah. So that is a huge struggle when you have lost someone to suicide, or just a widow in general. How can God do this to me? How can I be in this situation? Has God forsaken me? It's a struggle. It's one we all deal with. But for those of us that lost someone to suicide, it just adds a whole nother layer of pain and confusion and heartache. So please be a little more gentle with your faith and read your Bible. This next struggle I'm going to share is my biggest struggle, my absolute biggest struggle. Trigger warning, big time, because I know this is going to be hard for me, and it's going to be hard to hear. If you can't stomach it, please step away. I hope that you can hear this wholeheartedly, because I am sharing this wholeheartedly in hopes that it can help someone really understand this struggle and what it's like. So please don't judge me, okay? Not here for it. My biggest struggle and challenge in being a widow and losing Jeff to suicide and dealing with all of this blame, shame, guilt, judgment, faith struggle, all of it. My biggest daily struggle is choosing to stay. I know that's a triggering thing to hear, especially for people who have lost someone to suicide. But trust me, it's even harder for me to say than it is for you to hear it, because it sucks. It absolutely sucks. But especially in those early days, I just could not fathom at all a life without Jeff. And I'm not going to lie, in those first 8 months, the only thing I was living for was to get the affairs settled. And I was done. I had zero plan to live. But I'm here. still. Because every single day I woke up and chose to stay. I found a reason. Some days I had to dig deep. I had to look hard, especially with all the secondary losses. When I get really down and I am dug into my shame and blame and guilt and judgment and just overwhelmed with failure, that darkness is so heavy and overwhelming. And it is really hard to choose to stay when there is so little light left here. And his light and love is so big to me. It gets hard. It is a struggle. And I have come so close so many times in these last 8.5 years to giving in to that, what comes to me as an angel of mercy, the only way out, just like I'm sure it did for Jeff. But right there, that's what stops me. That's what stops me. Every single time I look at suicide, when I am on my knees, I am broken, I am crying, I have nothing to live for. Everyone has walked away from me. I have no one to share this pain with. Nothing can stop it. And that suicide shows up as this angel of mercy to take away my pain. Thankfully, again, like I said earlier, every time for 8.5 years, all I see is the asshole that took my husband. Right at the moment, I can't hold on for another second. I see that demon for what it is. It's not an angel of mercy. It is hellfire spread through your DNA, through everyone that loves you, and it will take them down too. And I'm not letting that shit happen again. As broken, as hurt, as busted up as I am, that need to protect everyone left in my life from that pain keeps me alive. And that is it. That is my fight between lights. But every day for 8.5 years, I've stayed alive. I haven't always maybe lived every day, but I'm here. And I'm doing the best I can. It's not easy. It's a lot of weight to carry. It's a lot of pain, but I'm going to do it. Because maybe me carrying my pain can help somebody else carry theirs a little better too. And if you're struggling to carry yours, I'm here for you. I'll be a light in your darkness. Because I know what it's like when there isn't one. When the only one is on the other side and it really fucking sucks. I will sit with you in your darkness. I will hold your hand, not judge you while you fracture. Because that's all it takes. It's all it takes to get through. The times that I have been down there fighting those demons, the people that have pulled me out are the ones who, again, just sat with me and said, I see your pain. I'm just going to hold your hand and let you hurt. I love you anyway. That's what makes the biggest impact. That's what's kept me here. Those people. And my need to protect everyone else from the pain of suicide loss keeps me alive. It sucks some days, but yeah, still here. So that is just a few of the struggle highlights of being a widow and losing someone you love to suicide. It's not easy. Please extend some grace, empathy, kindness. Maybe just don't be a jerk. That'd be nice. Yeah, I know this episode was hard. It was definitely hard for me. These are not things I just walk around and talk about all the time, especially my own struggles. Just be the light in someone's day. I hope you enjoyed this episode, or at least learned something from it. And I hope to see you again here soon at Widow Wit and Wisdom. Thanks.